they'd like to ask. Does anyone have a question? I mean, I can readily understand, sometimes this class is so strong that kind of answers all people's questions inside. Or the mind is quiet, the heart is quiet, and we're centered, and all the questions become part of the flow. And you get real answers that way also. After having probably done over 400 of these videos that are posted on Facebook and YouTube and all those places that I never really ever go to, but I seem to be there. When an accumulation of all of those talks really presents a great deal of wisdom and a great deal of knowledge, and certainly a way of refreshing people in their need to have a spiritual life. People can listen to these things. I don't mean religiously or dogmatically, but, periodically. I mean, there's one talk I gave that has to do with the breathing technique. The whole talk is about the breathing technique. And that's something people should review to make sure they're doing it right. And I suspect that's on YouTube, or I don't know. Again, I don't go to those places, so I don't know where these things are. But there's a great deal of wisdom in there. There's a great deal of knowledge. There's a lifetime of understanding the spiritual process. And, sometimes when it comes for me to talk, I don't want to get repetitious. I don't want to keep repeating myself over again. So there could be silence, there could be quiet. And I know that now my life is changing in such a profound way. That every time I sit and do meditation, I get Rudy comes, Nityananda comes. They just tell me to mellow, to get quiet, to merge my consciousness with the universal love. And there are no words that can describe that. It's totally an experience that one has to have, and one has to have in the evolution of their inner life, that helps them get closer to a state of spiritual enlightenment. I think it's amazing what's going on and the changes. I don't understand any of it. Sometimes I feel like I'm moving through some kind of a void. There's nowhere to put my feet down, but that's all right. I know that there's always a rope that takes you to the other side. And I'm grateful. I am grateful because I think it's true. God is love. The spiritual life is love. Happy people attain the highest level a human being can attain on this planet. They don't have to have 200 IQs and they don't have to be brilliant about technology. They just have to live with their hearts open, with love, with compassion, which opens it to anybody because we all have hearts and we all really want that. Beyond all the nonsense that comes out of human beings' minds, there's something that every human being really wants. Everybody wants to be a happy person. Some people are so angry at themselves that they beat themselves up with drugs and alcohol and, fighting with other people and emotions. And it's just anger, it's just anger at themselves. But beneath all of that, somebody wants to say, hey, all I want to do is be loved. It's like that book that Dostoevsky wrote, Crime and Punishment, where this student locked in a, kind of a maid's room somewhere in St. Petersburg winds up killing this old lady. And, ultimately, if you read that book, kind of the way Dostoevsky wrote it, it was the only way he knew how to touch the world. And once he did that, the punishment was him overcoming the guilt and finding in a place in himself where he can love himself and other people. And we're all kind of like that. We've done strange and difficult things in life to other people. And it was just a way of touching the world, a way of reaching out and saying, I don't know how to love. I don't know how to do this. The only thing I know is how to strike out at people, and then there's the guilt, there's the unhappiness, there's all of that stuff inside. And it exists because a human being truly wants to be a happy person. But they don't know how to overcome the difficulties in themselves, through the practice of inner work. I've seen enough of that where I used to teach in prisons and I saw how people used to beat themselves up. And beneath it all, the one reason they kept coming back to the meditation class is they found somebody who cared, who didn't judge them, told them that the past is dead. Let's start from today and move forward. And that God is love. And honestly, it transformed people. Just hearing that they weren't going to be judged based on what they did. That from this point on, their whole lives can change. And we're no different, We're all the same like that, We want from this point on life to manifest, in a spiritual manner. Love, openness to higher energy, treating people in the world with compassion instead of anger and fury, and not having to take revenge for all the things that have been done to us, Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart?
Yes.
Yes, I've heard that to attain that state of higher consciousness that...
I can't hear you, Larry. Can you talk up?
Yeah, I've heard to attain that state of higher consciousness that we have to learn codes. Can you share your thoughts about that?
What you mean, laws? What do you mean code?
No, it was just used as a terminology that that humanity has
Well,
to
I
be.
don't think so, Larry. I'm not into stuff like that. Codes and laws and rules and regulations. You, by working in yourself, you arrive at this place. You arrive at a place where there's love inside you. You have the strength to be able to live that way without having to adopt external laws and codes and rules and regulations. And then you can adopt them, but they're no longer, things that strap you down, that tie you up, that, because it comes from inside, not from external sources. I mean, all the rules and regulations of life, which frankly are very essential, that governments make these laws and codes because people don't live very consciously. Otherwise, you'd have total chaos in the world. But at the same time, those codes don't change anything. They kind of keep people, don't go through red lights, when the light turns green, move your car, stuff like that. It just keeps people from killing each other. But it doesn't change the inner makeup of somebody. That has to come from inside. And once we change inside, there's no problem about stopping at a red light. There's no problem about waiting for the light to change. There's no problem about following all the laws here, because we don't feel like they're tying us down and imprisoning us. Just do it, because there's so much love inside. There's so much inner awareness that we can give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and we can give to God what is God's. I mean, I remember in the last prison that I taught in, they took the femininity away from all the women. They dressed them in t-shirts and overalls and jeans and, tennis shoes. And it was like stripping down, the essence of their life inside, and they became a bunch of hard asses, most of the people there. It was something unbelievable, And then they would come to the meditation class and I would tell them stuff like, hey, let's start now. I don't have any rules or regulations. I mean, I did have one rule, okay, and that's no dope. Only because it would destroy the class, both in the prison and outside the prison. Nobody, if you're smoking marijuana, any of these drugs, it interferes with the whole process that really takes place in a human being. And I say this from having done enough drugs in my life to have almost killed myself, to know where that goes. From the age of 20 to about 25 was a pretty drugged out period of my life, I tell you. And then Rudy came along, no more drugs. I said, thank you. God bless you, thank you. So all of the rules, all of the codes, they should come organically from a place deep inside a human being. And if they come from that place, they will be real. Not something that we're dressed in a costume and have to act a certain way. And you drive in a car and there's so much road rage and anger and people cutting each other off and all this stuff, because those codes don't deal with the real essence of a human being. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there'll be a meditation on Sunday. I almost didn't have one today, but I changed my dental appointment for about a week from now, 10 days from now. And thank you, bless you all. Thank you for being here. And I just am so grateful to be able to sit here and share what I've learned with all of you. God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all on Sunday. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.